An expansive ocean, a gleaming sun, and an adventure-hungry vessel. These are the core elements that make up the first few moments of Sea of Thieves. Microsoft Rare's latest game attempts to bring about unparalleled exploration of an open world, utilising multiplayer and the desirable life of your good old-fashioned cartoon pirate. So how does Rare's new title fare? This is Ollie for ResetButton, and today we'll be taking a look at Rare's new game.
Okay. Guns at the ready, lads. We go treasure hunting.
After picking from some randomly generated avatars and choosing whether to enlist with other players, you're dropped into a humble island tavern with very little information to work with. This is actually one of the game's finer elements, the feeling that you know nothing and just have a horizon of opportunity. Hopping on board and acquainting yourself with the mechanics as you tumble and smash against the feral ocean waves is an absolute joy to experience. While not exactly a hardcore simulation game, the mechanics are complex enough to be accessible but not outright boring. Sail length, angle, and general wind management accompany a satisfying steering system to provide thoroughly responsive and enjoyable ship movement. In the time it took to learn the ropes and understand the UI and weaponry, me and my loyal crew of one ugly man adventured to our first destination, a remote forested island. The anchor dropped and we rushed into the unknown territory, and as we pilfered various supplies, we felt fear strike our spines.
Pirates! We need to leave.
A few players on their own voyage had marked us in their sights, and the following scramble to survive was one of the high points of the entire experience. When we carried on with our adventure, we visited island after island, but a slow realization was dawning on us, one that had ultimately killed our spirits. Outside of health replenishing bananas, cannonballs, and planks that help repair ship damage, there was nothing to be gained by aimlessly letting our sense of adventure take point.
Oh my god. That is not something we're going to be able to fix.
Combat of enemies and the killing of animals offered no reward, nothing tangible worth the effort, and the islands often felt like a book with a great cover, yet no story. Returning to one of the outposts, it became apparent that the meat of the game revolved around accepting missions for various NPC factions. Some would have you deliver or scavenge, while others would ask that you locate the treasure from a map, and so after the tedious process of lining up our ship's map with the recently attained one, we set on our course for the treasure. It was at this point that the breathtaking water simulation and the stunning lighting effects and texture work started to dwindle in its ability to distract us from an ever-apparent reality, that there is very little to see in Sea of Thieves. We hit land and followed the map closely, eventually grabbing and returning our spoils.
I think... Oh, well, good job, lads.
We didn't get to open it, of course, and see what kind of goodies we'd attained. No, the chests are more of a trade object, just a box that gets converted into currency. Another blow to our motivation was seeing how minuscule the reward was, and how the only things worth buying are just overpriced cosmetics. Sea of Thieves seems to play its entire hand early, and declines in quality as the experience continues. A fair amount of the monotony was remedied by exploring the musical instruments, getting drunk, and testing the limits of the game's mechanics, but even that became tiring. Thankfully, I had a couple friends I was able to experience this with, but I was curious to see how this kind of game would hold up as a solo experience. And the answer is, well, it depends. If you like extremely long periods of nothing mixed with the terror of other players hunting you down, then I suppose it's great. However, I don't consider this a good way to play the game. Ignoring the challenge of maintaining and sailing the ship alone, once you finally have something tangible, be it a treasure chest or whatever, there is always the risk that someone will just blow you out of the water if you so much as come into their view. I'm sure it would have been possible for me to fight off a ship more than 4 times the size of mine, but it certainly wasn't easy and it felt like a setback rather than engaging or even just a fair challenge. Granted, those risks will be there when undertaking the game alone, but it begs the question, why would you unless you were a hardcore thrill seeker or just a masochist? There is also matchmaking, however, capable of pairing people off with teams spanning both Xbox One and PC thanks to the Play Anywhere scheme. It's pretty much a lottery system though. You might get friendly people who choose to communicate and play nice, or a completely dead silent crew that seem to disappear at will. This will come down to personal preference, but taking the gamble on a random crew of players just doesn't seem worth risking your time and experience with the game. If you can muster at least one friend, that will likely get you more out of it than those alternatives. It's really a shame that with the amount of charm and dedication to polish, the core game itself feels fundamentally lacking in content.
Please! Keep shooting him! It's cannon! Shoot him! Ah, God, you gotta account for weight and distance! Get him! Shoot him with a pistol! Ah!
There are some standout moments, but they fall few and far between when integrated into the slow and lifeless gameplay loop. Sea of Thieves is a game with a lot of potential, but strikes me as an early access game in its current state. Certainly not worth a full retail purchase. The conclusion then? Wait this one out. Or if you must try it, go for the Xbox Live Game Pass free trial if it's available to you. You'll be able to crank out plenty of time in the game to make up your own mind. For now though, this has been Ollie for Reset Button. Have a great day.